So, you have your eye on a Scorpio. And if you have felt the pull of this person, you already know it is unlike anything you have experienced with someone else. There is an intensity to a Scorpio that is almost difficult to describe without sounding dramatic about it. They do not look at you, they look into you. Conversations with them go somewhere real almost immediately, whether you intended that or not. And there is a magnetism to them that operates below the surface of anything you can easily name or explain. Once a Scorpio has your attention, they tend to hold it. Which is exactly why you are here, and exactly why this video is not going to pretend otherwise. What it is going to give you is a genuine and honest map of how a Scorpio actually moves in love. Not the mythology. Not the reputation for jealousy and intensity and emotional warfare that follows this sign around like a shadow. That version of Scorpio is real in the way that caricatures are always partially real. There is something in there, but it misses so much of what actually matters. A Scorpio in love is one of the most devoted and searching and genuinely profound partners in the Zodiac. But they're also one of the most guarded. And the gap between a Scorpio who finds you interesting and a Scorpio who genuinely falls for you is wider than it is with almost any other sign. Understanding what lives in that gap, what it takes to cross it, and what it means when you do, is what we are going to work through right now. 3 real dimensions of Scorpio romantic psychology. What draws them in at the deepest level, what sends them retreating behind walls so solid you may not even notice them going up, and what they are quietly carrying in love that most people never come close to understanding. The first mistake people make when pursuing a Scorpio is trying to impress them with surface. It sounds obvious when you say it out loud. But the number of people who approach a Scorpio with carefully constructed personas, strategic mystery, or social performance, and then wonder why the Scorpio seemed briefly intrigued and then suddenly completely uninterested, is genuinely remarkable. The thinking goes that Scorpio is drawn to intensity and depth, so if you project intensity and depth, they will respond. And a Scorpio will engage with a compelling performance for a short time. They find it interesting the way a puzzle is interesting. But the moment they sense that the intensity is constructed rather than real, the interest evaporates entirely. Not gradually. Entirely. Scorpio is a fixed water sign, ruled traditionally by Mars and associated in modern astrology with Pluto. The fixed quality means Scorpio is built for depth and endurance, not surface movement. Water means feeling, intuition, and the movement of the inner life beneath what is visible. And the combined influence of Mars and Pluto gives this sign an almost uncanny ability to perceive what is real versus what is performed. Scorpio has been reading people's hidden motivations since they were old enough to notice that what people say and what people mean are frequently 2 different things. They are not doing it consciously most of the time. It is simply how they experience the world. And that perceptiveness means that manufactured mystery or strategic persona construction will be seen through faster than you probably think. What genuinely draws a Scorpio is not the appearance of depth. It is actual depth. The real thing. Your actual interior, your genuine complexity, your honest relationship with your own darker or more complicated experiences, your willingness to acknowledge that life is not simple and neither are you. You do not need to overshare in the first conversation, but you do need to be genuinely real in a way that a Scorpio can feel. The concrete thing to bring is this. The next time you are with your Scorpio, say something true that you would not say to everyone. Not a confession, not an overshare, but a genuine thought or a real feeling or an honest acknowledgement of something in your life that has actual weight to it. Something that reveals you are a person with real interior substance. A Scorpio who catches a glimpse of that, who senses that there is something genuinely worth knowing underneath what you present to the world, will want to keep looking. And wanting to keep looking is where everything begins with this sign. The second thing people consistently get wrong with Scorpio is misreading their guardedness as coldness and responding to it with either pressure or retreat. A Scorpio in the early stages of a connection can be warm and engaging and genuinely magnetic. But they can also, without warning and without obvious explanation, pull back. Go quiet. Create distance. And people who do not understand what is happening tend to respond in one of two ways. They push harder, trying to get back the warmth they felt earlier by being more available, more attentive, more insistent. Or they take the withdrawal personally, pull back in kind, and the whole thing quietly dies before it ever had a real chance to become something. Here is what is actually happening beneath that guardedness. A Scorpio's emotional investment in a person they are genuinely interested in is not casual or easily reversible. When they start to feel something real, they are aware of how much that feeling could cost them if it goes wrong. Scorpio has a long and detailed memory for emotional pain. They do not process hurt quickly or superficially. They go all the way through it, and they know it, and that knowledge makes them genuinely careful about what they let in. The walls that come up are not indifference. They are protection. And they come up precisely when the Scorpio is starting to feel something significant enough to be worth protecting against. The insight that follows is about your own steadiness in the face of that withdrawal. A Scorpio who is testing whether you are safe is not doing it consciously or strategically, but they're watching how you handle the moments when they are less available. Do you become anxious? Do you become demanding? Do you disappear entirely? Or do you stay warm and present and genuinely unrattled, giving them room to move without making them feel like they have broken something by needing space? The people who pass that test are not the ones who performed patience the most convincingly. They are the ones who are actually secure enough in themselves not to fall apart when a Scorpio went quiet. The concrete practice here is to build and maintain your own life and your own sense of self so completely that a Scorpio's temporary distance does not destabilize you. Stay warm. Stay genuine. Give them room. And let your own groundedness do the communicating. That quality of real, unforced steadiness is one of the most reassuring things a Scorpio will ever encounter in a potential partner. The third dimension is the one that most people never reach with Scorpio at all, because getting here requires earning a level of trust that this sign does not extend easily or quickly. And it requires understanding something about Scorpio that runs directly counter to their reputation. Here is the misconception. Because Scorpio is associated with power and control and emotional intensity, people often assume they want to be the dominant force in a relationship. The one who holds the emotional cards. The one who knows more than they reveal while the other person remains somewhat off balance and uncertain. And some Scorpios do fall into that dynamic, usually the ones who have been hurt enough that control has become a substitute for genuine intimacy. But that is not what a Scorpio in love is actually looking for. Not even close. What a Scorpio is genuinely searching for, at the level they will rarely admit to and almost never admit to early, is someone they can trust completely. Not someone they can manage or maintain the upper hand with. Someone they can actually let in. All the way in. To the parts of themselves they have never shown anyone else. The parts they are not entirely sure are lovable. The parts that are complicated and sometimes contradictory and occasionally overwhelming even to themselves. A Scorpio carries a great deal. They feel things at a depth that most people genuinely do not have access to, and the weight of that can be isolating in ways that are hard to articulate. What they want, more than anything else, is a partner who can hold that weight without buckling. Someone who does not flinch at the complicated parts. Someone who can receive the full truth of who a Scorpio is, the intensity and the tenderness and the darkness and the extraordinary loyalty, and remain steadily, without needing any of it to be different. The way you demonstrate that you are that person is through your own willingness to be genuinely known. Scorpio does not open up to people who stay safely behind their own walls. Mutual vulnerability is the only real currency with this sign. Not performed vulnerability, the real thing. The places in your own life and your own history that are complicated or painful or not entirely resolved. Sharing those things at the right pace and in the right context signals to a Scorpio that you are someone who knows how to go to the real places. And that signal is one of the most powerful things you can send the sign. The concrete thing to practice is this. Let your Scorpio see one real thing about you that you do not show casually. Not everything at once. Just one true and unguarded thing. And watch what happens to the quality of their attention when you do. When you hold all three of these dimensions together, what comes into focus is a picture of what Scorpio is genuinely looking for in love. Not a game to win, not a conquest, not someone they can control or someone who will always remain slightly uncertain of where they stand. They are looking for something rare and something real. A partner who shows up as genuinely themselves, with actual depth and actual complexity and no performance layered on top. Someone whose steadiness does not break when a Scorpio needs space. And someone brave enough and real enough to meet them in the places that actually matter, where the surface has been set aside and something true is actually being exchanged. That is the love a Scorpio is capable of giving when they have found the right person. And it is extraordinary. A Scorpio who has genuinely chosen you will defend you, prioritize you, and love you with a commitment and an intensity that will feel, at its best, like the most significant thing anyone has ever offered you. They do not love halfway. They do not love casually. When they give you their loyalty, they give it completely. And that is what is waiting on the other side of earning the trust of this sign. It is worth the patience. It is worth the steadiness. It is worth showing up as genuinely and completely yourself. Because a Scorpio will know immediately whether that is what you are doing. And when they know it is real, something in them will stop looking for reasons to keep the walls up. And that is where the real thing starts. Has there been a moment with your Scorpio when something shifted? When you felt the walls come down just slightly and got a glimpse of the person underneath all of that intensity and guardedness? What did that moment look like?